right, welcome to the channel. I got NFL PrizePicks propositions to talk about. We have a Thursday night football game. It's a Thursday night game, which means it's a short week. Hopefully we get a decent scoring game. The point total is 40.5, which means both teams should get around 19 to 21 points in a perfect scenario. With that being said, we're going to hop right in. If you stick around and you like what I said, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it and it helps other people see these videos. With that out of the way, let's get into it. First things first, Trevor Lawrence is questionable. He may not suit up, but let's just go ahead and play the scenario that he's going to suit up tonight, and we're going to get a full usage from Mr. Lawrence, the long-haired bombshell. Can anyone say Sunshine from Remember the Titans? Target number 1, we got Christian Kirk. He was at 51. Now he's all the way up to 54. So what I'm going to do here is bust out my handy-dandy notepad, as you can see here, and I have Kirk. He's had 403 air yards, 384 reception yards, 116 yards after the catch, with an average depth of target of 8, 49 total targets, and 33 receptions. That right there is a pretty decent, solid stat line, okay? Now, we need to talk about the Saints defense because that matters. We're trying to pick the best way to beat the Saints. The way to do that is through the air. The Saints are very weak against the slot. They've been getting lit up versus slot receivers, which Christian Kirk is. Kirk has been running 70% of his routes, and now I can go over here to my projections, and I have good old Christian Kirk over here at 8.5 receiving targets, 5 total catches, 71 receiving yards, and 15 fantasy points. Okay, with that all in mind, we're gonna go ahead and take the bump at 54.5 receiving yards for Christian Kirk. Now remember, if Trevor Lawrence happens to sit, well, all bets are whatever. We're just going with it right now. I'm not gonna wait for these things to go up or go down, but if Lawrence does get ruled out, this is gonna go down. That's proposition number 1. Proposition number 2 is Mr. Alvin Kamara. 31.5 receiving yards. You can take this more, or you can take what I'm going to argue for, which is his 15.5 fantasy score more. Why? Because he has touchdown equity, which would get him 6, and then he only needs to get 10 fantasy points, 9.6 for you technical wizards out there to cover, okay? 4.5 receptions if you want 2s in play. The only proposition I'm staying away from is his rushing yards. I like his pass plus rush, or his rush plus receiving yards at 83.5, his 15.5 fantasy score, and his 31.5 receiving yards. This is the taco for Taco Tuesday, so some of you already have it locked in, but both of these are good. I'm going to hop back over here to my projections, and you can see what I have Kamara going for. 53 rush yards. It's not a big enough discrepancy for me to take his rushing yards. I have him going for 35 receiving yards, which is 4 points more, 4 receiving yards more than what his projection is, but 17 fantasy points. Now I have this weighted for DraftKings, but it won't matter because this is still, he would still cover this 15.5 fantasy score. If he gets 5 receptions, that's 5 points. That would be 5 points right there. Okay, so now you're at 5. Now you only need to get a little bit more. If he gets a touchdown, that's 6. Now he's at 11. Let's say he gets 35 rushing yards. That's 3.5. That's 14.5. He would only need 2.5 more. And if he gets 10 to 20 receiving yards, he covers. Okay, I feel like the fantasy score one is best. If they do start to struggle through the air, they can lean on him. But I will say this, the Jags don't give up a lot of rushing yards per game to opposing running backs. They average 56 rushing yards per game to opposing running backs, but they do give up 40 receiving yards per game to opposing running back. So that's pretty decent. The way you want to attack both of these teams is going to be through the air, okay? Saints are giving up 141 yards through the air. The Jags are giving up 180 on average. Again, this is just average, but look at these fantasy points, 18 and 23 per receiver. And as I'm recording this video, Christian Kirk just got bumped down. So I'm assuming Trevor Lawrence news has come out, and I will get that news shortly. But again, if Trevor Lawrence isn't going to play, this is going to happen. I just said it before that this was going to happen, and it did. Well, I just checked the news and it still says pending pre-workout. Either way, like I said, I have him going for 71. If he's going to get 50, he's probably going to get 55 and vice versa. If he sells, he sells. I just showed you the reason why I'm taking him. It's all about the long term with me. You want to focus on getting the right play and get it in the long term, and you will be profitable. That's it. That's all there is to it. Another one that I liked was Chris Olave, who's down here at 64.5 receiving yards. Again, I already showed you guys the Jags can get beaten through the air. I love his receptions at 4.5, but now he's all the way to 5. I still have him projected for 6 total receptions, so so it's going to be dicey, but I honestly, I'm not sure if I should tell you guys to take the bump or not. You guys can actually decide for yourselves, because I'm only here to give you my projections and my theory. It's still always going to be on you guys to make your plays, especially when we're talking about NFL. It's all game script dependent. It's all theoretical. And the last guy I'm going to talk about is Mr. Michael Thomas. Either one of these two is going to be fine. 53.5 receiving yards or 12 fantasy points. I don't believe he's had a touchdown yet this season, so if he is due a touchdown, that will give him 6 fantasy points and cut his fantasy score in half. Add in the catch for the touchdown, he's at 7, then he would only need 5. He's getting roughly 7 to 10 targets per game, and he has an average depth of target of 10.5, okay? 31 receptions on 47 targets. So, I don't love it, but it's a same game parlay, so this is what we have to do. I'm trying to leave out the unders for you guys because nobody wants to sweat an under on Thursday night football, Monday night football, Sunday night football. No one wants to do that. So I just kind of asked that if you do want some unders, I'll give you some in my Discord. So again, either one of these two is fine. I'm not in love with it. My primary two are going to be these two right here. I like the little 1v1, the little both of them. That will be what I do. I want to close with this for NFL. Both of these teams are very good against the run on paper and historically through 6 games played this season. Both of them destroy the run game, but that doesn't mean that anomalies don't occur. Outlier games. That means Travis Etienne should be looked at. I'm taking Kamara right here. Travis Etienne, he could literally get little dump offs tonight and get a bunch of receiving yards and cover his fantasy score. Keep that in mind. Tight ends do very well against the Jaguars, but unfortunately the tight end is run by a committee over there. They have Hill, Moreau, and Graham because Juwan Johnson is out for the Saints. So that's something you need to keep in mind. Rashid Shaheed gets a bunch of air yards, 35.5. He could be your dart. If you do script this game to be a low scoring game, this is what I would advise you to do. McManus, Group, or the punters, okay? Both of these punters, it is Thursday night. We could get a defensive battle out of nowhere. Both of these teams have solid defenses, so both of the punters could obviously be in play, as well as the kickers. How many times has this combo covered so far this season? A lot, okay? That would be something to look at if you script the game plan to be a low scoring game, and then you could throw in the running backs, rushing yards, or something like that, and the receiving unders, or the combo prop for the NFL quarterbacks under. Again, I still don't have Trevor Lawrence news, so I don't know what's going on. We'll have to wait and see. Now, while I have you here, we covered an NFL. I'm going to go over to NBA preseason real quick and take a look at this board for you guys. Okay, lately, a lot of the players have been playing 3 quarters. Some have been playing a full game, like Curry last night, who hit the game winner. That was pretty cool. Some of them have only been playing a half, like Bam Adebayo last night, who had 14.5 and then played 16 minutes and just decided not to come back in. It's all a dice roll. All I can do is look at usage rates, minute projections, and that's that, folks. I try to look at their historical line data and see and make my decisions accordingly. That being said, LeBron James, less. Russell Westbrook, less. Kevin Durant, less. Basically, all the guys with double digits over 20 is a less for me. Shai Alexander, less. And then if you want overs, you could look at Zach LaVine, 19.5 would probably be my favorite one. And then I have a bunch of others, which I have posted on my Dub Club, which you can go to CaptainCrush.net. Get the gold is $24.99 a month, which is nothing compared to what the value I give you guys. You're going to have all my NBA slips, all my NBA propositions, the list, everything, all my NFL projections, and my NBA model for the coming season, which starts 10/24. I will be having YouTube live streams and TikTok live streams for NBA because it's a daily sport. It's my favorite sport to talk about. I love NFL, but it's so all over the place. NBA is my favorite sport to talk about. And that is where most of you guys came to follow me. So we are going to have a full season this year, and I can't wait, and I'm excited to get that in with you guys. Favorite unders today? Let's go with the King James. Let's go with Russell Westbrook, and let's go with KCP, Contavious Caldwell Pope. I'm taking him under. We'll see what he does. Those are my 3 favorite unders for NBA preseason. And as promised in the thumbnail, I wanted to talk about some DraftKings tips, and here we go. This contest is a $3 buy-in and $40,000 for first place, okay? You're going to want to get creative in these showdowns. Remember, you pick a captain, 1.5 times their salary, 1.5 times the points, and then you get 5 options underneath. Me, personally, my captain's either going to be Captain Kirk, or Kamara, the same 2 that I'm targeting on PrizePicks. I will have either one of those as my captain, depending on how I script it. I'm waiting for the Trevor Lawrence news.